Всем добрый день! Сегодня поговорим с вами про компанию Redshift и, соответственно, одноименный рендерер. В конце августа удалось заехать к ним в офис в городишко Newport-Бич, что в Южной Калифорнии, и побеседовать с ними о жизни, о планах, ну и вообще, как они докатились до жизни такой. Это в конце будет целиком интервью, которое я наснимал, там порезал немножко, а для тех, кто, в общем, нетерпелив и не выдержит там 20 минут текста на английском, немножко вводных слов, как бы резюме того, что я там услышал. Первое, что я спросил, естественно, почему Redshift? Redshift это из астрофизики или просто, можно сказать, физики. Это когда степень красного спектра увеличивается, когда объект несется от тебя со страшной скоростью. То есть обусловлен эффектом Доплера. Тут я пошутил и сказал, что а как насчет Blueshifta? Казалось, что Blueshift это как раз ровно наоборот, когда объект несется на тебя и в видимом спектре начинают увеличиваться синие цвета. Более того, следующий проект или один из параллельных проектов, который делает Redshift, так и будет называться Blueshift. Это не шутка. Немножко о компании. Компанию организовали 3 понаехавших товарища. Понаехавший в Калифорнию, потому что это Ник из Канады, Панос из Греции, Роб из Соединенного Королевства, из Англии. Ребята организовали компанию в 2012 году, причем у них уже был за спиной опыт в игровой индустрии. И забавный тот факт, что почти 2 года они работали просто в апартаментах одного из них. Просто в living room, как они сказали, одного из них. Сидели, писали рендерер. Так как у них уже был за плечами некий опыт, они более-менее знали, что они хотят написать. И они с самого начала, так как они выходцы из игр, были нацелены на скорость и на максимальный фидбэк. Redshift biased, то есть настраиваемый, грубо говоря. Примеры это Mental Ray, Max Conline, Maya Software. Это все рендереры настраиваемые или biased. То есть вы дергаете за ручку, это вам позволяет настроить и скорость, и производительность, и качество сцены. Другой класс это unbiased, это примеры Maxwell, Octane, где вы, в общем, нарулили сцену, а потом говорят, посчитай. И вот у вас из шума проявляется ваша сцена. Как правило, GPU рендереры, они unbiased, просто потому что так проще их написать для GPU. Но Redshift это, наверное, единственный, V-Ray GPU еще, Redshift это один из первых натуральных biased рендереров, который целиком на GPU. В общем, ребята серьезно хотели добиться скорости и писали именно biased рендер, но на основе GPU. Первым плагином был плагин для софт-имажа. В 2012 году ребята сделали компанию, выпустили плагин для софт-имажа и потом начали расширять количество софтов. Сейчас, в общем, количество софтов, поддерживаемых Redshift, оно большое. Оно так и среди GPU рендереров, оно, наверное, самое большое, за исключением, может быть, V-Ray. И они поддерживают все платформы. macOS, Windows, Linux. При этом у них в офисе сидит всего 6 человек. Еще раз, 6 человек. Значит, в интервью вы там все увидите, как у них выглядит офис, какие компьютеры, какое железо, какие ланчбоксы и так далее, и так далее. Но еще раз подчеркну, чтобы вы, так сказать, оценили масштаб феномена. Redshift пишет, поддерживает и продает всего 6 человек. О чем мы с ними поговорили? Поговорили мы с ними о том, что игровые движки наступают, и, в общем, вот этот зазор между традиционным пайплайном и пайплайном на основе игровых движков, он сокращается. Я их спрашивал, каким они видят, с какой стороны, в общем, будет прорыв. Ребята традиционно все-таки считают, что со стороны традиционного пайплайна будет, в общем, рендереры будут ускоряться. Потому что перейти работать на игровой движок, когда ты сидел всю свою прошлую жизнь в нормальном софте 3D довольно сложно, чисто по идеологии. Поговорили о том, что, оказывается, они пилят такой проект под названием RedshiftRT. То есть, да, RT это real-time. Это, в общем, для того, чтобы вы могли смотреть свои сцены почти в реал-тайме. Там звучали цифры 6 FPS, там, где можно 20 FPS. Я спросил, насколько это бьется с проектом Лавина от Вире. Они сказали, нет, там немножко другое, потому что Лавина нацелена на то, чтобы удерживать конкретный фреймрейт во вьюпорте, деградируя некие фичи. У них же это просто ускорение редшифта путем упрощения отображения некоторых элементов. В общем, RedshiftRT. Ждем. В общем, скоро запустят. Обещали, что это будет продукт в составе Redshift, но, в общем, пока еще не решили. Любопытная информация. Я не знал о том, что, в общем, пилит RedshiftRT. Поговорили за то, какое железо у них стоит под столами. Оказывается, там и AMD есть, и NVIDIA в этом AMD процессоры, естественно, и Intel. Показали мне машинку, на которой, в общем, был написан первый Redshift в 2012 году. Сами все увидите, если дотерпите до конца. Много говорили о переключении с CUDA на RTX. Если вы помните, в прошлом году на сиграфе NVIDIA там наделала много шума со своим RTX. И, в общем, к прошлому Крисмасу, к прошлому Рождеству уже было обещано, что вот появятся первые рендереры. В общем, нет, не случилось так. И только сейчас уже появились, в общем, реальные RTX ускорения в рендерерах. Обусловлено это было тем, как выяснилось, что Optics, то есть API, с помощью которого девелоперы ходят к рейтрейсингу там, в саму NVIDIA, в общем, он был сначала, мягко говоря, сыроват. Там была 5, 6, сейчас анонсировали Optics 7.0. И, в общем, по словам Роба, он уже достаточно гладкий, достаточно такой ловкий, чтобы из него выкликать, в общем, все эти рейтрейсные фичи. И, в общем, по словам его же, работать стало уже с ним приятно и можно. Естественно, мы поговорили про Максон, который купил Redshift в начале года. Естественно, я спрашивал, ну и как, ребята, что с вами будет? Ну, ответом было то, что в Германию никого не заставляют переезжать. В общем, оставляется полная свобода разработки. Никакие остальные платформы, ну, имеется в виду, кроме Cinema 4D, не будут, в общем, под угрозой. А как работали, ребят, так и будут работать. Появится больше ресурсов. Ну, единственное, в общем, так сказать, единственная особенность, теперь приходится пораньше вставать, потому что time difference с Европой, и митинги приходится проводить ранним утром. А так ничего не изменилось. Все те же 6 человек рулят вот этот волшебный продукт. Ну, также мы поговорили немножко еще про технические особенности. Оказывается, Redshift — это рендерер, который делал загрузку-выгрузку геометрии в память по мере, ну, сказать, под запрос. Они сразу решили, что они это будут делать, потому что для никого не секрет, что главное бутылочное горлышко сейчас — это количество памяти на видеокартах, и, в общем, с этим надо как-то разбираться. В общем, ребята умеют и выгружать, загружать геометрию динамически, плюс поджимать ее, компрессировать на ходу, что для меня было, в общем, сюрпризом. Ну, видно, что решение настолько технически изощренное, решение, я имею в виду Redshift, что, в общем-то, еще раз меня поражает тот факт, что всего 6 человек пилят этот волшебный продукт. Я им задавал каверзные вопросы о том, что а вот не является ли ограничение памяти на картах NVIDIA таким маркетинговым ходом, или это все-таки технологическое ограничение. Ну, ребята мягко сказали, что, наверное, все-таки технологическое, что вот-вот они будут поддерживать тоже NVLink, который позволяет удваивать или там, в общем, подсоединять память с других карт к основной карте. Естественно, мы поговорили про искусственный интеллект, куда ж без него, и о том, как он дальше будет, возможно, в рендеринге применяться. Но пока дальше денойзера не идет. Поговорили мы о том, что денойзер, возможно, насколько он является temporary stable, то есть мы денойзером-то прошлись по кадру, а потом прошлись по следующему кадру, А вот как между кадрами-то что будет? В общем, насколько это будет гладко? В общем, по словам Роба, все не очень пока гладко, но, в общем, все будет зависеть от будущих версий. Вот, на этом пока, наверное, все с интро. И дальше смотрите интервью. Дальше я даже напомню, что 1 декабря, 30 ноября жду всех на CG-ивенте. Там будет очень-очень много сюрпризов в области моушн дизайна. Прям очень много. Также я скажу, что буквально через 10 дней, 22 сентября, жду всех в Киеве. Там вообще огромный блок по моушн дизайну. Я вот уже там спамил в Фейсбуке. Моушн дизайн, в общем, сейчас зажигает по всему миру. Ну, приезжайте в Киев, приезжайте в Москву. Дальше смотрите интервью.
Всем добрый день. Так случилось, что я тут проезжал недалеко от городишка Newport-Бич. И как раз в Newport-Бич находится офис компании Redshift. Соответственно, я написал Робу Слейтеру. Он говорит, конечно, заходи. И вот у нас 6 часов вечера на дворе. Легкое закатное солнышко. А мы идем в компанию Redshift. Вот, смотрите. Redshift, значит, 3-й этаж. Думаю, что не нужно представлять компанию Redshift. Это, в общем, авторы RedshiftRT. Там было самого рендера, который, в общем, разрывает всех на рынке рендеров по своей скорости. И единственный GPU рендер, который бесит, и который, в общем, как раз для того, чтобы быстро рендерить. Сейчас мы с ребятами немножко поговорим. И как я говорил в прошлом году, здесь действительно работает 5 человек. Ну хорошо, не 5, а 6. В этом году уже 6. Раз, два, три, 4, 5, 6. There is 6 people in the office.
Yes.
Wow. This is Nick. And this is Rob.
Hello.
Who is CTO? Who is CEO? Who is...
CTO sits there.
Sits there.
He's on vacation in Greece. The CEO sits there, Nick.
Nick.
And I'm just a boring old fellow.
It's Rob.
He does all the work. Yeah. I work on the core.
We are inside Redshift now. My question, why Redshift? Is it from, name, is it from physics?
So that's what inspired the name, is the astronomical phenomenon.
It's from astrophysics.
Yeah, as things move away from you at the speed of light, their wavelength gets shifted into the red. So it evokes the feeling of speed, and but it's also just a cool name, so that's why we chose it.
So it's not maybe some Blueshift, Greenshift. It's for other versions or other projects.
We are considering using the word Blueshift for another product. Yes.
Blueshift. Really?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, for real.
Wow. As I know, it's only one biased render, GPU based. So why did you choose biased paradigm? Because as I understand, everybody who comes on GPU land is unbiased.
Right. So the fact of the matter is doing a biased ray tracer is actually harder than an unbiased ray tracer. So the reason we do it is because really computer graphics is all about tricks and shortcuts to make something look great and have a lot of control over the look without spending too much time doing it.
Yeah.
That's how the way it's been all along. If you look at a renderer like V-Ray CPU is a biased renderer as well. And the reason they do that is because you can get a cleaner image with less work, with fewer samples. And so we chose to take the same approach because it's great to have fast ray tracing, but if you're doing a lot of work that you don't need to do, like a lot of unbiased renders, then you're still wasting time. So if you can do less work and do that work fast, you're getting the sort of the best speed possible.
As I understand, you're concentrated on the speed from the first thing.
Yeah, so really like speed is what we wanted to use as something to set us apart. But everybody knows that speed is not enough. You need to have all the features and the stability and everything like that too. So that's also very important to us. But we always think about how is this particular feature going to affect the performance, because rendering is so such a computationally expensive thing, the speed is so important to keep the costs down for the customer.
So, and I see a lot of customers, you have a really long list. I check other competitors like Artain, I didn't consider a V-Rays, like maybe different stories like corporate render, archives render. So, but in this area, media entertainment, you got the like impressive list. How long did it happen that you start to gather these clients?
Right. So, well, when we started the company in 2012, and at the beginning, actually, our first plugin was for Softimage. That was the first integration.
Softimage.
Yeah. And the cool thing about, I mean, it's too bad now that the product doesn't exist, but the cool thing about that initially was the community was quite small and was really ready to have a new render. They were using Mental Ray primarily, and they really needed something new. So they really took Redshift, they were happy to take Redshift. And but the majority of our initial customers were freelancers and smaller studios that were doing like TV ads and stuff like that. But then over time, we started getting bigger and bigger studios joining. So, a few years ago, we got Blizzard, and they were doing all the cinematics for Overwatch, and that was a big step that kind of caused a lot of other large studios to say, oh, maybe these guys are serious. So, but now we're working even with a lot of Hollywood studios and Digital Domain and Technicolor and things like that. So yeah, I mean, we've grown from people using it for fun to all the way up to now being used in Hollywood movies.
And I checked that you have a number of the supported platforms. I mean, the softwares.
We support quite a few. I haven't counted if it's more or less than I know Octane supports quite a few as well. But yeah, we support Maya, 3ds Max, Cinema 4D, Houdini, Katana, soon Blender. We're working on Blender. And Softimage still. So yeah, that's quite a few, and it's sort of like all the big ones, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're
also Windows, Linux, MacOS.
Yes, all three platforms. Yeah.
Now my next question: how 6 people can manage this multi-platform, the biased render, which is like I think the nightmare in development. It's really difficult. How can you manage this with the 6 people?
Well, it's a lot of work, I guess. But I mean, part of it comes from our history. We come from Panos, Rob, and I, who founded Redshift. We came from the games industry, and it's a very fast-paced type development. You're making products for the internal game team. We were making the core technology that was being used to make the games, and so it was a very rapid development cycle. We've taken that approach to this product as well. So we release, I mean, at the beginning we were releasing a new version every few days. So, we would get feedback, we would fix the bugs, and the next day we would have the fix out. Now we've slowed down a little bit, but we still try to put out a new version every 2 weeks or so. So it's just really sort of knowing what to focus on, and focusing on what your customer feedback, and just working as hard as we can, basically.
I guess we're very reactive.
Yeah.
As I understand now, the gap between production quality and real-time quality like closer and closer.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, as I understand, the Redshift is all about speed. What do you think about this closing the gap?
I mean, it's super exciting. The one thing that we come from games. So one thing that I'd always kind of tell people when they talk about the real-time rendering in a game engine is that there's a lot of setup involved. So it's not, you don't take a scene out of Maya and then have a real-time scene with all the diffuse lighting and all. There's usually a baking step involved to bake all the lighting down. All the assets are have to be very carefully authored to be very, very efficient. So they games are made kind of quite differently than traditional assets for production rendering. So there's a little bit of a that often gets kind of ignored when you talk about, it's rendering at 60 frames per second. It's like, yeah, but it needed a 10-hour bake to get there, right? That's number one. Number two is there's the notion of what your tool set is. And so a lot of these game engines, they come with their own tools. So, Unreal Editor, for example, and it's a great product for creating games, but it's not always the product that people want to use or that the people are used to using for their traditional pipeline.
Yeah.
So what we want to do, instead of approaching it, taking a game engine and sort of trying to use it for production rendering, we want to bring production workflows, but bring a faster renderer to it. So we have Redshift now, and that's nice and fast. But it's not real time.
Yeah.
We're still talking about seconds or minutes or maybe even an hour per frame. But we are working on a new product that we call right now RedshiftRT that's using game technology, sort of like a blend between ray tracing and rasterizing to get real time or what we call near time performance. So maybe 60 frames, maybe 10 frames, maybe 1 frame per second, but still much faster than what we have today. And so what we really want to focus on, though, is taking the current workflow that you have, whether you're in Maya or Cinema or Houdini, and instead of choosing Redshift production, you choose Redshift RT, and that's it. That's the only difference. You use the same materials, use the same tools, and all your scripts work, and everything works as is. And you just choose at the end, do you want the super fast rendering with maybe a few features missing, or do you want to go the full production quality?
It's like for look dev, it's
for look dev, or certain productions might not need the full the full quality, right?
Yeah.
Children's animation, for example, depending on the look that they're going for. So.
Yeah, I saw the project Lavina from V-Ray. Is it like the same, because they try to make it? They keep 30 frames per second and still able to take a look at the large scenes.
So I'm not super familiar, so I don't want to pretend like I know a lot about Lavina, but if I understand correctly, what they're doing is they're sort of degrading, making sure they maintain 30 frames per second by down-resing the effects, and then when you stop the camera, it kind of improves. I think that's what happens. With RedshiftRT, we do something similar. So we use denoising and progressive refinement, so that, but you don't really notice, you don't notice, it's not like super grainy and then it cleans up. Because of the denoising pass, it's actually quite clean, and it might have some kind of denoising artifacts, and then those go away over time when you stop moving the camera.
Is it public information, or is it already on the internet?
It's public in the sense that it was announced at SIGGRAPH.
It's public information, but we don't have an official announcement of it. We've been talking about it with customers, but there's no press release or any blog or anything like that. We don't have like a publicly available demo yet. The tech is still kind of needs a
very
little bit.
very fresh. It's like brand new.
So we're still working on the materials and stuff like that.
We're rewriting. So we're rewriting the material technology so that it can work with both production Redshift and Redshift RT, and that will allow for the open shading language support as well, OSL, so you can go and write their own shaders. So this is kind of the effort that we're putting into them right now.
Will it be separate product, or it will be included with the Redshift?
I think the plan is to have it included.
Yeah, I think it's too early to say for sure, but I think we're probably going to include it with the regular Redshift. Yeah.
Now I see that the game engine go from this side, and the traditional pipeline going with this side, trying to make like real-time viewport like IV for Blender, and it's like interesting competition now. Everybody going here to real time, and who will be the winner? Now it's interesting, because first time I sat in front of Unity and tried to animate the ball. I'm a Maya user, like 20 years Maya user. I sat like 10 minutes without not success. Then I go to YouTube. It was shame on me, because how I could not animate the ball in the unit. So it's completely different paradigm involved. And the Redshift, I think that it's go from the traditional pipeline, which is like familiar with many people.
Yeah.
From this.
So I mean, there's the familiarity aspect, and then there's also the pipeline. So for an individual, it's all about familiarity, but for a big big studio, they have tools written around.
Yeah.
They have a way of working, right? You know, it goes from modeling to
even the way of thinking.
animation and a way of thinking, and then and they have an entire tool set built around that, and they have maybe even existing assets, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're working on season 5 of a particular show, and they already have the suitcase for the characters already approved from season 2, you know, and they don't remake that. They're going to redo all their assets just to change renderers. So it's, you know, we very much, we don't want to, you know, a render is just a piece of the entire sort of pipeline. And so it's kind of a little bit presumptuous to come and say, look, I have this great renderer, you have to change everything you're doing to use it, you know. So we try not to do that. We want to fit into people's existing pipelines.
Yeah. And I think it should also be noted that this whole effort to drive more towards the sort of real-time production quality rendering is driven by the hardware advancements as well.
Yeah,
so
this is next question.
Yeah.
By the way, what kind of hardware do you use at the office? I see like double monitors. It's what kind of computer?
So we have like a, I think we have like it's like an AMD 16 core CPU in there. That's just to sort of
AMD with the NVIDIA on top.
The CPU.
CPU, yes.
CPU, NVIDIA GPUs in these machines.
We also use Intel CPUs.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have a mixture.
We try to have a lot of different kinds of machines. Just
Because as we talked last year, it was a lot of work to switch to the RTX, to switch to the optics from CUDA.
Yes, and we are still doing that. So we have we have parts of Redshift running in optics to accelerate the ray tracing.
Yeah.
You know, with the new RTX hardware. So this machine actually has an RTX 6000 in it. So it
6000 is quadra.
Yeah, and then actually supports, you know, the optics.
Ah, yeah. This looks fat. Yeah.
This is my
Your beast.
My beast. This is ancient.
Ancient.
Actually, this is Redshift Alpha was written on this. So this
Really?
is like a historical piece of hardware. Yeah,
Wow, take a look. This is like father of Redshift.
yeah, exactly, with the lunchbox too. It's a new lunchbox, by the way. It's not an old one.
So what's your personal opinion about this RTX hype? So because last year Nvidia made a real good hype that everybody talk about this, and I got a lot of press material from Nvidia that by Christmas time everybody will support RTX on board, including RenderMan, for example. But they do not figure which Christmas time. So this SIGGRAPH, I asked many manufacturers, they are still there. So it appears that not so easy process from switching.
It's especially coming from like a CPU renderer like RenderMan. They have a lot of work. They have to write a GPU renderer.
Yeah.
Even with Arnold, you know, they have like an optics version. It's like, I think it's in beta right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not easy to switch from CPU to GPU. Like
But for you, it's
we're
easier
better
because
placed
you are
we already have,
originally.
you know, our code is written with GPUs in mind.
Yeah.
So all we had to do was basically take all the kind of ray tracing code that we have and just sort of change a few things about it and kind of port that to optics to use like RTX.
Mm-hmm.
So it was less work for us, but it was still some work, but it was less work for us. And we're going to be porting to optics 7 as well this year. So even though you have the optics hardware acceleration, great, and then we have a leaner optics as well with optics 7. It just kind of makes everything faster.
And I think that the traditional question about the Maxson, because half a year we got a wow, great news about the Maxson acquire Redshift.
Yep.
So, and everybody start to ask the question, oh, Autodesk bought the Softimage and now Softimage is dead. We are worried about what will happen with Redshift. So what changed since then?
Nothing really. We got invited to the Maxson party in Germany. That was great. But actually, they've pretty much left us alone to kind of run things the same way. You know, Maxson.
You don't need to move to Germany.
No. They were very happy for us to keep our existing business model. They don't want us to like not support Houdini, Maya, any of those guys. So in that respect, nothing really changes. But what will change, I guess, in the future is that we'll have more kind of support from them in terms of like engineering. And, you know, we're brainstorming with them about some like new technology and stuff like that. We can't really talk about it, so it's good to have this such a bigger kind of family that we can now kind of work with.
For in like everyday life, not so many changes.
For Nick, he's got more
I have
meetings.
lots more meetings. Yeah.
Lot more meetings.
Yeah, and the time difference
Yeah,
is kind of tricky.
they're all very early in the morning.
So for you, mostly it's early morning or
Yeah, early morning here, so that's like afternoon in Germany.
What do you think? The Cinema 4D now they have the advanced renderer. They have a support for Pro Render, AMD Pro Render. They have now they have Redshift, like with the closer connection. So is it too much renderers for one package, or what?
We probably can't really talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, as you can imagine, there's a lot of conversations happening on that topic, but yeah, we can't really discuss what exactly the plans are, but yeah, there will be some changes.
There will be.
And changes that we're kind of excited about too.
Technical questions about out of core technology, and as I understand, almost nobody support out of core on the market. I talk with the Pixar guys, they compress the geometry before sending to the video memory, and they try to manipulate the compressed. But you use the out of core, so you put the geometry and they unload it again.
Yes.
Well, we actually do both.
We do both. So we don't compress. I mean, I think I know what the compression technique is that you're talking about. I think Max talked about it at SIGGRAPH last year. Was it GTC? And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We do some compression, not the same, not quite as aggressively. But we also support outer core because you want to be able to render an ILM asset, which can be many gigs on a 4 gig GPU. I mean, okay, I guess 8 gig is now kind of standard now, but when you start throwing those movie-sized assets at a GPU renderer, you have to be able to render them, and so that's why we have out-of-core technology.
And how long ago did you manage it? Did you invent it?
From the beginning.
2012. It was like nothing video memory.
4 gigs, 4 maybe
gigs
was like the big one.
For Quadro.
Yeah, for
Because
like a
GeForce
nice expensive
have a half.
Quadro. Well, and I mean, it was clear from the beginning that all GPUs were always going to have less memory than CPUs. So like, and rendering is generally a very like memory hungry process. So like we knew that it would always be a problem, and so we had to design it. We knew we were making a GPU renderer. We knew memory was an issue, so it just only made sense to start right away designing it as an out-of-core system.
So that's for both geo and textures. So you just we swap in and out what we need, basically.
How do you think this limitation of this video memory, is it by intent by NVIDIA to sell more like Quadro, or is it like technological limitation?
No, but I think that it's technological, at least in part, because the band, like it might sound like it's the same thing, GPU memory and CPU memory, but it's not really. Like the bandwidth,
it's more expensive. I
it's
understand.
much faster bandwidth.
It's the memory controller.
The controller, like
it makes your chip really big. I'm guessing
they only have a certain number of transistors to work with, and they want to put most of them to use as like compute, right? They don't want to waste transistors on the memory controller. And when you add lots of memory, you need to spend more of your transistors on the controllers and on the stuff. It's very high bandwidth, so like it's what, like 10, 100 times faster than CPU RAM in terms of how fast it can transfer. So I think there might be some play between like, hey, we want to sell Quadro cards, so we're not gonna have a Titan with 28, 24 gigs or whatever. But I think that it all also comes down to that it's actually hard to do. The good news is that they're coming out with technologies now that improve the situation. Things like the NVLink, so you can actually use one GPU can use the memory from the other GPU on a high bandwidth connection. So,
but you need to support it in the software.
So we're actually going to be supporting that very soon, in the next month or so. So there, I mean, you were talking about out of core. So NVLink actually can solve that problem for some people as well. Like, you know, if you like, out of core isn't free. It's not expensive, but it's not free for Geo especially. But if you have like 2 cards, you know, with like an NVLink, then that can effectively double your memory cache for, say, Geo, which means that you're less likely to go out of core.
What is your personal opinion about this AI hype now? Or
I mean, we support the AI denoiser, by NVIDIA, which is good. And actually, the Optics 6, which is what we support today, that is working pretty well actually.
So it's already supported in optics, so
yes,
we can call it. Yeah.
So I think it's been about a year since we've supported it. I think. Who knows? I mean, maybe you could use AI for some kind of sampling techniques to make them smarter or something like that. I mean, there could be all sorts of.
I mean, there's definitely really cool research happening in AI, and there's applications in everything, from rendering and to automotive. It's a big sort of potential market, and I think that's why there's a lot of excitement about it. One thing you have to be careful of, though, in something like rendering and creative, is it can be unpredictable. And so one of the things, like, we were talking to a customer in Vancouver, they do a lot of pretty high quality like cartoon looking things, and they were saying that they don't like to use the denoiser because when something goes wrong, they don't know how to fix it. It's a black box.
Yeah,
you put your image in, you get the results out, and if it's not what you expected,
no tweaking.
There's not like, oh, let's try this. There's just you just don't know what to do. Whereas, like, the main reason they're using that right now is denoising, right? And so the alternative is to use the traditional denoising, which is shoot more samples, like spend more time rendering, right? That they know how to do. They know that they can. If the frame is too noisy, they can spend an extra hour rendering the frame and it'll be less noisy. So they know how to deal with noise, but what they don't know how to deal with is those strange artifacts that you can get in a denoiser sometimes if it doesn't, where it's coming with some kind of low frequency noise or something, like those splotches and stuff like that. That they don't know how to fix. So they prefer the enemy instead of the enemy.
Yeah. And this NVIDIA denoiser, is it temporarily stable?
In our experience, I mean, I don't know about Optics 7 as much. We haven't tested that a lot, but so far the older Optics is not very stable between frames yet.
Temporal denoising?
Yeah. I don't think Optics supports that.
No, I probably wouldn't recommend it.
Because my first thought was, okay, it's nice to denoise, but what will be between 2 frames?
Yeah.
Will it be some
weird,
some kind of weird effect?
It's like 7 p.m. I think already, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. This is Rob.
I've been sat
This
down
is
all
Nick.
this time.
And this is the huge Redshift.
Huge empty office.
Yeah.
With no decoration.
Yeah. You can tell that we're all engineers here, right? We've got no plans, we've got nothing, no decoration. We just write code.
Right. We just write code. It's like a slogan. We just write code. Not hype, just code.
Yeah.
And is it a new office? Did you move it? Did you move? How long?
About November.
About almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago.
We were not far, just a few buildings over. Before that, we were in Panos' living room.
Anyway, and in December, I have a CG event conference in Moscow. I'm driving it for 13 years already. It's kind of huge. It's 2,000, it's in American style, 2,500 people. So if you have a chance to talk about going to Moscow, you will be very welcomed, because we have a nice community about Redshift. people like Cinema 4D, and people the same passion, they like Redshift for speed, especially broadcast people. Because I read some feedbacks and they said, wow, this is completely new way of thinking, so we can render fast now. They love Redshift, really. So 1st of December, welcome to Moscow. Thank you very much.